Okay.
Get it out.
I don't know. I'll swear to when I
Your evaluation of today?
It was good. Get a little hotter today, which was good. You know, to test our kids a little bit. And, we're getting a lot of reps off. You know, we'll come in and watch the tape. The first 3 days are always difficult because you got to cooperate a little bit because we're not in pads. So you don't want anybody on the ground. You don't want anybody tripping up. And it's hard because people are pushing people. And the first day is easy because they don't know how to do it. The second day, they start to get a little, you know, and tomorrow will be, you know, a day where they really got to kind of check their temper. And then we'll practice real football for good on Thursday. So, but we got a lot of good work in, and we got a lot of film to watch. We'll come back for meetings tonight and get a chance to kind of figure out where we are with some of these guys. A lot of guys getting a lot of reps, which is good. And then we're still right in the middle. You know, it's just our second day of insertion, so we're trying to get all of our offense in. It'll take about 5 days, you know, to get all our offense and defense in, and then you start reviewing it. So everything's new. So a lot of things we did today were nothing they did yesterday. So the older kids are used to that kind of system. The younger kids are, you know, I think they studied everything that was in day one, and then day one we don't run it on day two, and I think they get a little confused. So, but it was good.
You mentioned that you were going to find out who was in shape and who wasn't today after yesterday, and everybody.
Yeah, everybody's good. Everybody's, you know. I think some guys need a little extra work, but I think the way we practice, that gets it out of them. So, you know, overall, we're really, really pleased with our conditioning. There may be one or two guys that and I think the individual coaches will talk to them that are doing some things afterwards. But the way we practice, you can't make it through if you're not in shape. So.
You alluded yesterday to kind of starting off with the basics. I mean, already today, are you throwing different scenarios at them?
No, we're still, you know, we're always playing the game. So it was just first and second down and some third down situations. We haven't gotten any red zone or any coming out or any 2-minute or any of those things. But we want those guys to be cognizant of what the down and distance is. You know, if I'm a defensive guy and it's 3rd and 15, you know, how much are they going to run the ball? You know, what's our thoughts? It's screen and draw and drop back pass. And I want them to always be playing the game. We never just put the ball down and say, just run a play. They all want to know what the situation is. So they're aware of that. So right now it's just down and distance situations changing. We haven't got into any of the specifics, the coming out in the red zone and those things. Those will come a little bit. So,
after watching the tape from yesterday's practice, who are you most excited to watch the tape of today?
It's different. So I don't look at it that way, and that's a good way to say it. But it's not like, oh my God, this kid was really good yesterday. I hope I get to see him today. It's everybody kind of flashes. You know, you start to form an opinion, and it's the one thing that's amazing is somebody that you didn't notice at all yesterday. All of a sudden today may have been their day. But it also, you know, especially with the skill positions, there may be some more routes in, where yesterday there weren't a lot of routes in for, you know, the flanker, and you don't see him that much. But then all of a sudden he caught 8 balls today because we called a lot of plays involving that guy. So it's really different. And I never go in looking at film saying, hey, I can't wait to see this guy. It's just, you know, really it's a very, very analytical thing. Let's just make some corrections. We're not making any assessments of anybody right now where he's really good at this or he's really good at that. It's just kind of getting an idea of who's picking things up, you know, really kind of what their mindset is and how are they learning. And by and large right now I'm pretty happy with how the guys are picking things up and retaining things.
Were you holding LaMichael and Kenyon out today?
No, they weren't.
Just giving the backups, the walk-ons?
No, LaMichael was excused today, and Kenyon was out today, so we're not holding anybody out. We're getting everybody to play. So.
Michael still have class, or
yeah, so he's just finishing up.
Josh, is that done at the end of this week, or
I don't know exactly, but I think they may probably. I think.
What's your vision for Josh and his increased role? And have you noticed his bottom row of teeth? He's got, you know, a little gold going on there.
I have not noticed that, Steve. So.
Well, what about
you can ask him about that. So
that
will not impact his playing time or not playing time. So it doesn't really affect me. So, you know, Josh is an explosive kid. You've watched it last year. You watched him in the Arizona game. You know, we had a great game against USC. A lot of different things, but Josh was a true freshman last year, so you know everything. We kind of put a lot of things on him, but you know he really kind of settling down as an outside receiver for us. We need some speed on the perimeter, and Josh certainly has that. We got 2 big voids in trying to replace Drew Davis and Jeff Mayle. We feel real good with Josh. We're going to find out who the other guy is, but we really see Josh's role expanding to kind of being, you know, our full-time go-to receiver on the outside.
You got a lot of young guys you're given a chance fielding punts and kicks. Does that reflect the athleticism you've been recruiting lately, or do you just know what your vets can do and want to see?
No, we don't really have. The only vets we have right now, to be honest with you, are Kenyon and Cliff. So besides that, we got to find some guys, and that's a big question mark for us. You know, Jeff could have done it a little bit. You know, was a guy we would have used a little bit before, but now Jeff's gone. So really, who's your 3rd punt returner is a question mark for us. Who our top 2 kickoff guys were usually Cliff and Kenyon, or Cliff and LaMichael, or that kind of group. Though you got those 3 proven kick returners, but
Would Huff be in that group as a guy?
yeah, and Huff would too. More of a kick return guy than a punt return guy. Really trying to find out. We got Kenyon and Cliff in punt returns. Who's going to be the third guy? And obviously Cliff's not playing in the opener, so really who's going to be the second guy? And then for kick returners, you got Josh, you got Kenyon, you got LaMichael, and Cliff a little bit. But we really want to expand that role, especially to find out. We got some young kids who can run, but we need to find out. There's a difference between can you run and can you actually feel the kick when it's in the air? And the punt is the toughest one to field. And been impressed so far in the first 2 days with those guys just catching it. But now no one's running down on them yet. And that'll be usually. And we usually do a couple live scenarios of that when we get into some team situations to kind of find out who can do that and who can't do that.
The redshirt freshman corners put in a lot of extra work in the summer. With Cliff not being there, from watching, I guess Terrence and Troy specifically, have you noticed anything? Are they showing up a little bit? I know it's all day 2.
No, I until I look at the tape, really when we're on the practice field, it's really the organization, how fast are we changing, and all those other things. So I don't really turn around and say, hey, that was a great play by him or not by him. You got to kind of look at it on the tape. So. I'm glad to hear that they were working very hard in the summer because obviously it's really got nothing to do with Cliff. His Talmadge is gone. So with Talmadge gone, we really got to find another guy back there. And obviously Cliff's going to be gone for at least one game. So who goes along with Anthony Gilden has always been a big question for us coming in. Anthony's the only guy who's really got proven playing time out wide at the corner position. So now who else is going to play? And whether it's one of those guys, one of those guys is going to have to step up. So
I know you don't put a lot into depth charts this early, but I assume it was more than a coin flip that determined that Grasu would get the first snaps at center. What do you like about him?
I really we never discussed it. I know people get in there. I've never once said Wood tell me who's in with the first group. And when you watch him, the next play Ryan Campbell's at tackle, then he's at guard. Next play I look up and Hamani's playing tackle, and those guys are all rotating through. So we have not had one discussion. And we said it for the first 5 days. There's no reason to have a discussion. So I don't know if it could be more the fact as Wood said line up, and he was the first guy to run out. But I don't know. You'd have to get from Wood. But I've seen everybody in there at center. So. I know Mana's taking snaps, Hamani's taking snaps, Carrington's taking snaps, and Morris is taking snaps. So who's ones, who's twos, we haven't had a discussion about that yet because it's still too early for us. All we want to do is how many reps can we get off in a 12-minute period, and we need a center to do it.
I've written about Hamani and I've written about Carrington before. If I was going to write a story about Haran, what should I know about him?
It's hard to spell his name. It's number one. I think he's a physical player. Obviously he's got some strength to him. And we've been excited about him for a long time. But the biggest question for me with all those guys is none of them are playing the game. And for whoever it's going to be, their first snap is going to be in Dallas Cowboys Stadium against LSU. So hopefully, I think getting work against Ricky Amuli and Wade and those guys is going to be really good work for them. But it's still going to be. That's the one question mark going into that opening game that you don't know. So, but I like Ronus' athletic ability. He's intelligent. He missed a little bit of last year with his shoulder, but he's 100% healthy now. I thought he played really well in the spring for us, and he seemed like he's picked up right from then as we move forward. So.
Do you have any long-term concern about Ricky?
No.
New sound system?
Yeah, just, there's a lot of combinations. Number one on that field, it's not great. When you go to a bowl site, it was really kind of shaky because we had to rent to come wherever we were. So we knew, especially with the construction going on, we're going to be moving to a lot of different places, and instead trying to figure out where we can have it. That's portable. It can go with us when we go away. It can come into here. It can go into Otson, and we can move it around. So it was just something we felt was essential for us to do.
A mobile sound system.
A mobile sound system.
It was like in the back of your car before?
It was not in the back of my car. It's a lot too loud for my car. But the other thing is, I think if you've heard Oz and some of those guys, they can talk over it. So when we've got people, especially in our setup right now, on 2 different fields, it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on.